Oh my god, was the camera on that whole time? Oh, that's so incredibly uncomfortable and awkward, and oh my god. Hey guys, we're back. We are going to be getting into the grand finals as the lobby sets up now for Echo. Got ShoWTimE hosting it up. Good guys, ShoWTimE. Gonna be playing against SortOf here in a PvZ grand finish. So I try and check all my sound settings. Make sure I didn't mess anything up while I was doing stupid dancing. Nailed it. Okay, so while the Go4SC2 finals finish up, good times. Thanks for joining me here in the morning. Pretty quick, pretty short, pretty awesome cast. This will give me time to maybe nap or do something, I don't know, until the Yord tournament starts. But we do have a tournament in 2 hours from now. It is going to be cast by both myself and Zombie Grub. And of course, the emphasis is that it's going to be the second and last qualifier. So I hope you guys will join us once again for that. SortOf says he's ready, so just waiting on ShoWTimE. We were victims of the night. Mechanical, physical, kryptonite. Man, I love that song. Straight up, that is like my favorite song, by the way. But okay, let's hop into the game. Great sound effects. Echo for this matchup actually has created kind of stupid games. I think the ones I've enjoyed most, honestly, have been the ones on Whirlwind, where you've got armies just completely bypassing each other. Echo is like a map that almost does that, but for the most part doesn't. I can't describe it better than that. It's like actually, we look here at the mini-map preview, right? Oh, you can't see my mouse on the screen, so that's not gonna help. Oh wait, there we go. So it's like this area here looks really wide and open, but it's not. And that's what I think takes away at some of the cool points. The cool factor of what this map could be, but I'll talk more on that in a moment because we do have the intros to get done. So, without further ado, spawning in the top left side of Echo, we've got the red Protoss, ShoWTimE. And the bottom right side, the blue Zerg, SortOf. Sorry, just had to respond to something else, and I still have to respond here for just one more second, guys. So sorry, just give me 1 second. Oh boy, I tell you what, the logistics of trying to set up a house when you're not in the same country that you're trying to set the house up in is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. But more on that later, I suppose. I guess ShoWTimE spooked SortOf, so SortOf went right away to that third. And of course, for those who were watching before, we got to see ShoWTimE versus Damnshire. That was a pretty good, pretty clean series, and it was very much in ShoWTimE's favor. That being said, SortOf did just beat Nurchio in a ZVZ to get here, and while that may not have been a ZVP, it does show that he's able to take on quite a good player in Nurchio. Let's see if he can follow up here versus ShoWTimE. Rifkin, is that Rifkin singing? Yeah, guys, 100% that's Rifkin singing. In fact, we just had the Nerd 100 cheer for 20 bits and keep on singing it. Yo, that's one of those things where like Zombie Grub and I could do like, we could do like I guess lip sync battle or something for a fundraising goal. Actually, for a moment, take it away from StarCraft because you know BaseTradeTV doesn't talk about the game anyways. Has anyone watching seen lip sync battle? I actually think that show is fantastic. I watched one episode and I wasn't quite sold on it immediately, but then I saw some episodes with like Channing Tatum and some others. Pretty much any episode with Alison Brie has been phenomenal. Like, that show actually is really funny. And I would totally be down to try and set something like that up. But I think it would be maybe easier said than done. But it would be a fun reward, I think, for our fundraiser. Maybe? Question mark? Yeah, we'll find out. Anyway, ShoWTimE's going to be sending in a Adept across the map to go for a scout. He already knows, though, from his probe scout earlier, pretty much, that SortOf got a bit screwed in forcing himself to take this third. This, though, unlike Whirlwind and unlike some of the other maps I've been referencing earlier, This is actually not so bad to get forced to take your third at. Both points will actually meet well to consolidate here as your point of focus. Early on, you can knock down this cooling tower, so you get kind of a semi-wall set up, and then, of course, later on, you can break that and have more mobility as Zerg. So there's a lot of great ways that this 3-base setup actually benefits Zerg players, regardless of their own play style. And, of course, the question mark is going to be Hydras. I don't know. We haven't actually seen SortOf that much, so we'll find out as we watch the game. But I think creep spread is going to be pretty darn important. He knows it too, so very quick creep tumor comes down, and I think that's actually very much worth the investment of missing an inject for, especially connecting the 2 bases as mentioned before. But ShoWTimE was doing some cool things. I mean, I really liked, he did some nice moves. I made some jokes about like how he was doing the same thing Zest was, but honestly he was. Dark Shrine comes down again, and I really liked, not that he was going for the Archon drops. That's expected, that's standard, that's whatever. But watching ShoWTimE having done it just this previous series, and watching Zest do it a couple days ago, the micro around Dark Templar is just like, fantastic, and I love seeing it. But we do have something a bit different coming out of SortOf, by the way. Well, I think sometimes you're expecting roaches in the Roach Warren. We actually have a quick Baleen nest coming down. And now the question really needs to be asked, when is SortOf going to stop droning, and when is he going to start making only lings? Because it feels like this might be heading to the direction of an all-in, but he also might be feeling pressured to play defensively with a quick Baleen nest. That might just be his way of dealing with DTs. Like, okay, sure, I can't see them, but I can manually detonate the Banelings, and poof, they're dead. Either way, the layer finishes up here shortly, and I don't think detection will be too much of a problem for SortOf. In fact, he very quickly gets across the map, and while he might not kill the Adept, he might get a kill on the Pylon. No, the Lings actually pulled off to kill some probes, so it's going to cost him a little bit there. Not much to do on this side. This is still a full wall off, but there's a lot of surface area on this side too. So while the Zealot might be a bit of a whatever issue, the Pylon, he was hoping it wouldn't get overcharged. It looks like it might have. Runs back to this Pylon. Should be able to kill this. Still going for the Adepts. I don't know. I feel like killing the Pylon's got to be a bigger priority, but not right now. Not for SortOf. He's actually not even going to kill the Adept at the end of the day. Are you serious? Meanwhile, while this was going on, DTs did make it to the main. I was so focused on this failing, we actually had 8 drones die. And more importantly, the Warp Prism's so close to death. Oh my god, he's got to be careful. Wait for those shields to regenerate at least a little bit. DTs can't really be dropped with the Overseers right there either. A lot of these are actually really low, so he's going to try and escape. But this is the Steve McQueen Warp Prism, currently trying to tunnel out of the prison, trying to run across that field. It's gonna, oh my god, get out of there. The Great Escape. The Great Escape! Okay, it wasn't that great, and it wasn't that insane, but we did have Queens and Spore Crawlers and everything set up ready to catch it, so it's unfortunate that he couldn't at the end of the day. But with the DTs having lived, yep, they're going to just merge into some full health Archons. I'm trying to remember, guys, someone jogged my memory here. I could have sworn it used to be this way, but I was talking to someone about this, and they said I was completely wrong. But back in Brood War, wasn't it like if your Templar were injured and you made an Archon, the Archon would not be made with full health? Can anyone confirm that for me? Because this was just like, it wasn't like a heated debate. I was just talking to a friend about it, and I actually honestly couldn't remember. I thought that's the way it used to be, but I am fully aware I may also be in the wrong. Thank you to Marish for the 28-month resubs, as Marauder should shoot up. Oh boy, if only. Solo cast today only for this one. I was a little bit bored this morning. We hopped on for some Go for StarCraft action. The cast later today, the one that's actually scheduled for a couple hours from now, that will be with Zombie Grub joining me, guys. I know that it's kind of a thankless job sometimes, and a lot of people think casting doesn't take a lot of work. You're like, oh, you're just talking about the game. How tough can that be? But it's not the case, and it's actually really difficult. And if you've talked to anybody who's tried casting, like I thought this was always really interesting. Crank was trying to cast in English with us for a while. He would always talk about how exhausting he felt, or how exhausted he felt even after a couple hours. So it kind of makes sense. Like, you see a lot of players or people do like those 24-hour streams. Eventually they just stop talking, and it's not because they don't want to or they can't think of anything to say, which, to be honest, is tough enough on its own. It's just draining. It really is. So I don't remember why I was bringing this up, but oh right, because Zombie Grub and I can't always be casting all the time always, or else we'd just be too exhausted and tired. So I did not even try to ask her. She's around, I know she is, but I didn't try asking her because I wanted her to have full energy for the cast later today. That feel when you get caught up in like self-whining. You forget why you're talking. Okay, so the Warp Prism's still really low. It's not going to get a lot done. We do have a bit of a Bailey drop set up on the other side of the map out of SortOf, however. Maybe gonna get it off, maybe not. Phoenix is hallucinating in the main, gonna get some nice scouting information too. The Archon's getting kited around, constantly dragging a drop on the top of things. But the Banelings get a pretty nice initial hit, but the follow-up, sadly, is no bueno. So while almost all of the probes died, they didn't quite. 5 go down, and still not a bad investment out of SortOf. What I really love about Overlord drops is, okay, it is an investment. You know, there's gas that goes into the Overlord, there's gas that goes into the Overlord speed, and of course gas through 4 Banelings. But all of that considered, it's still a relatively low-cost investment for what is a high potential reward. It's a bit risky, but when it pays off, it pays back real good. Meanwhile, it looks like ShoWTimE has amassed quite the army. While these Archons are at like 12 and 8 kills apiece. Nice! He does actually have a lot of sentries with almost full energy. What I worry about for SortOf is his army supply is not very good in the first place. A lot of this is because I think he's banking for that Hive tech to finish up and move on for round 2. But because he didn't invest in so much army, he might not actually have enough to stop this push. To a degree, he may be better off just letting the base go and fall back, wait for his tech to finish. After all, the Spire's finishing up as we speak. The Hive's finishing up as we speak. But force fields are going to break him here if he decides to move down that ramp. Either the army gets cut off and pushed back, or gets cut in half and killed. Either way, does not bode well should ShoWTimE get control of things. And so far, this is a really good start for him. He actually gets on top of the Spine Crawlers really quick, asserting his dominance at the top of the ramp. Spine Crawler getting transfused like crazy, realizing there's a potential flank, throws down those force fields. We're gonna have to Corrosive Bile try and break it. As soon as those Banelings get through, though, and unfortunately, a lot popped off, and this is not going well for SortOf. GG's, in fact, are gonna get called, and ShoWTimE will take game number 1 in this best-of-5 finals for the Sunday Go for StarCraft Cup. Quick reminder that there is prize money for this, 150 euros up for grabs, so it's not quite the points cup, but also points for winning that lead to that monthly finals. We don't cover a lot of that anymore as we used to, and I guess I could go into a cool story bro moment as to why, but maybe after this commercial break, if you guys ask, but I'll see you guys soon. Okay, this was started a little bit quicker than I expected, probably because I took so long talking, so we're going to end the commercial break early. Rewind, and hop directly into the game. Whoop whoop. Hey guys, welcome back. Game number 2 of the best of 5 finals. And quickly just pointing out that show of responsibility. As always with BaseTradeTV, we never want to overly do the ads. We don't want to kill any gameplay footage with them. So, sticking with what we do best, calling them early and getting into the game. Top right side, we got the red Protoss. It's ShoWTimE. Bottom left side of the map, the blue Zerg player, SortOf. And he's not going to get screwed with his natural this time, so no forcing him to take that quick third and leapfrog back. I think SortOf actually didn't play the... Like, the early game was handled well. He dealt with a Dark Templar. He kept everything pushed back. But really, I think the cost of that Hive is what killed him the most. And maybe he would have been better off sticking on layer tech for a little longer. I mean, it has to be said that if you can get away with layer tech and you don't... Like, you win games without Hive, technically, there's no need to go to Hive in a lot of cases for a lot of these games. But that being said, that game was not an instance of it working. That was like, maybe you should have made a couple of extra roaches or lings. I don't know. Whatever would have worked better for him. Cup with Great says, I never understood 24-hour streams. By the 16-hour mark, the person is a zombie. Who wants to see that? So this is where it gets kind of interesting, right? On one part of it, you've got the streamers who want to just see if they can do it. It's almost like people who go on those really long and insane hikes or climb mountains. Like, they feel exhausted and dead by the time they get to the top. But you finish it and you feel a sense of accomplishment, right? I've never done a 24-hour stream. But I've done 18 hours in a stream. I think the longest stream we ever actually had on the channel was 20 hours, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember once we were done, I felt so good. You're just like, yeah, we did it. We made it through it. That was a struggle. It was strife. Like, we made it through, though. So imagine on the 24-hour front for the streamer, there's that sense of accomplishment you kind of look forward to doing. For some streamers out there, though, it's also a bit of a monetary thing. It's a incentive. Your viewers want to see if you can do it. Can you beat the challenge of a 24-hour stream? But also... Sometimes once you get a bit loopy and you get tired and desperate, people will be like, here's $5 more, make it a little bit further. Here's $10, wake up, you know? There's certainly understandable aspects of the 24-hour stream, but I personally don't think they're great. I don't love them. I don't love watching other people do them. But that is just me and my own personal tastes. Thank you to Noxial EDM for the 23 months. This is, we're so close now. Oh, man. 1 more month, and that's 2 years. You know, a lot of you guys reached the 2-year mark. Some of you have even reached the 3-year mark with your subs. And, you know, that's a pretty, speaking of accomplishments, right? Like, we did it. We made it 2 years. But it's so surreal for me, too. I'm a person who's caught up in living in the moment. We're casting the games here and now. I'm not thinking about what's really coming up in the future. And I also kind of lose perspective on the past. And I've been saying that we've been doing this for 2 years a lot of the times I meet people in real life. But it's really dawning on me, like, this is year 4. Like, we've been doing this for a while at this point. And I'm glad, because, A, it's given me a sustainable life for the last couple of years. Motivation to do things, yada, 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 make some friends. But it's also probably the longest dedication I've had to any project. God knows I've never had a girlfriend for this long. I've never had a commitment to a job that lasted longer than a year and a half. Seriously, this is actually my longest running job. Like, this has been a pretty big accomplishment for me. So, shout outs to you guys for subbing and supporting and all that through it. But it is so cool that we've been doing it for so long. Dark Shrine halfway finished. Actually, did he get a scout of it this time? I don't believe he did. No, he did with the Overlord. I guess he peeked in and saw it. So he knows there's going to be Dark Templar. I don't think SortOf actually had any problems in the early game. I said that at the start. I'm going to reaffirm that now. I think his defenses were pretty nice. He is actually starting a layer really quick. I guess he wants the mobility of Overseers more than the dedication of Spore Crawlers. But either way, as long as he can see those DTs, that's all that's really going to matter. ShoWTimE doing what Zest was doing and replicating it again, where you want to get in there with the DTs and you get some damage before going straight to Archons. I think a big part of why players were skipping the DT harass and going straight to Archons is because there was that assumption that it wouldn't get anything done. Take away that assumption, add some curiosity of, will this work? And suddenly we see, yes, and it does work pretty fantastically at that. Third base going to get kind of shut down, so no chance to build anything over here for the time being, but the DTs go straight on in, and there's the Spore Crawler already done. We got an Overseer that should be out shortly. I don't think this will go as well for ShoWTimE as he had expected, not at least as well as it did versus St. Namshar. The Warp Prism's also getting really, really low, so the DTs are actually dying. There's no chance to pick up. Their getaway drivers leaving them abandoned. He picks one up, saves only one DT, and this goes so well for SortOf. He absolutely shuts this down, and the best part about this was getting the DT kills does not secure you from getting more DT harass, but it secures you, more importantly, from the Archons. If ShoWTimE wants to follow this up with any sort of Archon drop, he's going to have to warp in more DTs, and he's going to have to invest more gas into this. Something he doesn't want to have to do, because he is building Immortals, he's getting upgrades, and ideally getting units to move towards that follow-up push that won the game so freaking hard in game number 1. But the start of this and that deflection is really good for SortOf. He's going to go across the map for a counterattack. I don't know that he can actually get a lot done with this. In fact, yeah, the links just get kind of force filled, and this ends up being a bit awkward, a bit useless. I think elevating some links to the main would be a prime choice, or moving on to a follow-up tech. Not moving towards Banelings, but instead investing in Roaches. Of course, the layer's done, so tech needs to start up, and if he is going to go Roaches, hopefully we'll see Roach speed. It's going to be a little bit awkward if he doesn't. Unless those Roaches are purely for Ravagers. I guess for those who are a little bit less familiar with the matchup, Ravagers don't have a speed upgrade because they are naturally fast. And on creep, I guess it'll be okay for either. I'm not going to read this person's name. I apologize. But we'll say some P in chat says, I love 24-hour streams because I can tune in and out all day. Well, I guess that's fair. I actually, there's a bit of motivation through that too. Like when you're on hour 18 of a cast and someone comes in and says, damn, you guys are still going? You were here when I went to bed. Like you suddenly feel really good about it. You're like, yeah, I'm still going. Hell yeah, I'm still going. So for those kind of viewers out there too, that's awesome. Melted Igloo says, I'm here to watch Zombie Grub. No offense, Rifkin. That's totally fine. She's not here, so feel free to fuck off. Meanwhile, as the attack comes towards the third, SortOf actually has a pretty good army. I think the Banelings are nice. They're going to deal with the Adepts and even has a possible back attack or even a counter attack. But he's going to struggle to deal with the Archons either way. I think the Adepts are not a problem. I think the Immortal's not even that scary. With the Force Field's going down, oh, the entire army is denied. He can't wrap around the bottom side. He's got to be careful because if he does, more Force Fields will cut off this army. No Ravagers were made, so, excuse me, there's about 1 or 2, but the Corrosive Bowels just simply aren't going to be here numerous enough. The Banelings aren't connecting to the army the way he wants to. A couple of small hits do a lot of big damage, but unfortunately, he's almost out of juice. Not a lot of Banelings remain. SortOf's got +1 weapon upgrades, and he's making 26 more lings. Maybe he finds a way to hold on to this. Those sentries are out of juice. There's not a lot of force fields remaining. The Archon even goes down, and he's just relying on Warp-ins at this point. That being said, though, the army supply from SortOf isn't holding up. We got a lot of really low health Protoss units that might just pop off, and then maybe the army supply looks more manageable. But this +1 weapons just doesn't seem to be cutting it. The Corsair Files aren't hitting. The Adepts are spread out really well. The Banelings barely connect to the Sentries, but the Sentries are dead at this point anyways. They're out of juice. The Immortal has no problem beating back the Roaches on the backside. 8 more Adepts warping in, but this game looks to be pretty much over in ShoWTimE, looking to lock down a 2-0 lead. As a reminder that this is a best-of-5 finals, not a best-of-3. Thank you to Phoenix636 for the 19-month resub, and then Meadow2 with the Twitch Prime sub. Brand new sub, first sub of the day. Thank you so much. But GGs are called. I'm going to go to a commercial break, though. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes, and we'll see if we can get the full commercial break off this time. All right, we're back with game number 3 here in the best-of-5 finals for the Go for StarCraft Sunday Cup. Quick reminder that the prize money for this does equal 150 euros, so this isn't just a points cup like we sometimes see. This is worth some actual cash. I actually don't know what the price split is, though. I think it's like 100/50. I don't think they pay for much. Oh, no, excuse me. Go for StarCraft's down to 100 euro now? Oh, it feels bad, man. So it's a 100 euro prize pool. And I'm going to guess it's 75/20. Man, the monthly finals got cut down, too. The monthly finals is only a 200 euro prize pool. Go for StarCraft. What happened to you? All right, well, top right, or top center, it's ShoWTimE, Elites 2-0. Woo! SortOf in the bottom side. Blue, Zerg, all that good stuff. Okay, there we go. We're caught up. Nailed it. Oh, but I still messed up the commercial break, so awkward. Sorry, guys. Pressed that button a little bit late, so you may have missed some of the start talk. Luckily, it was me just not knowing what I was talking about. So quick reiteration. 100 euro prize pool that these two are competing for. I'm guessing it's 75/25. I'm actually trying to look real quick, but at a glance, it doesn't seem to say on Team Liquid. More details. Oh, no, it's all or nothing. Okay, so first place prize is 100 euro, and then nobody gets anything other than points. And the points, of course, tally up and lead towards the monthly final. The monthly final is worth 200 euro. Honestly, not that much. Feels bad, man. Go for StarCraft used to be like a 500 euro monthly final, I think, with like a 150 euro weekly cup. Something like that. It's the decline of things, I guess. Hey, Terminator, that should have been a really stupid screaming Korean sound, so I'm going to play that out for you real quick. Hold up. Hold that phone. Because this can be super loud on my end. I hate myself for doing this. Pretend this is for you, Terminator. Terminator 101 donated $15. Thank you very much. This is a bonus for the solo stream. Nice. Thank you very much, man. Alright, well, SortOf is getting a little bit of ring around the rosy action. Pylon even goes down, but with the links already out, this shouldn't be too difficult to clean up. Okay, very quickly we'll dispatch with that. Cancel goes down, and third base gets planted. This map, though, is actually a little bit like Echo in terms of, like, this third isn't so bad to take. It is, unfortunately, based off of a choke, though, and without anything to break force fields. I think force fields could absolutely end you here. That being said, I'm wondering if, I mean, SortOf has had such good deflection to early game stuff. The DTs have barely touched them. The warp prisms have been shut down in both game number 1 and game number 2, and yet still we see ShoWTimE be the one who takes the victory both times. So it's gonna be tough, man. I don't know if he just needs to rush out to Hydras. In fact, I have to ask, like, why isn't he rushing out to Hydras? Every time we've seen them, they've looked ridiculous. It didn't matter whether it was foreigners or Koreans. Like, Hydras have made this matchup look so broken. I'm wondering if it's just like the timing thing or a preference thing, but for ShoWTimE, we haven't seen him really struggle with it much. The one time we saw Hydras, though, at a NAMM show was also the one time ShoWTimE died. So I'm just saying, guys, I think there's something connected there. There might just be. Also, I've seen no complaints throughout the cast today about this in chat, so still looking for that feedback. But if it seems to be in a non-interfering position, I think I will leave the notifiers there. Hopefully that you guys like seeing them. Oracle picking off several drones, though, driven off the base pretty dang quick. Ripping pepperonis, little buddy. Third base sets up for ShoWTimE. Not quite down yet, but sort of in no position to threaten it, so it should go up without a hitch. Fourth base? No? Is that a macro? No, that's a layer. Excuse me, as I was scratching my eyeball there, trying to see what was going on. Layer starts up. I was like, wow, sticking a fourth is really bold. But Spore Collars are down. He's ready to play Paranoid, and the Oracles are certainly not going to hurt him. And I think one of the big things was having seen the Oracle takes a lot of ease off your mind. You know that if the Oracles are out, there's not going to be DTs and Archons. You know that there's not going to be some weird robo push timing thing. He does push off the drones out of gas, and that's kind of annoying, but really not the end of the world. Gases are set up over here, and if SortOf's feeling a little bit thirsty, he can just drink from them. Here we go. The Hydralisk Den, actually halfway done, is going to be the weapon of choice. So for SortOf, we question, like, is this the better one? Do you want to just do it? Maybe there's some, like, nobility here, right? SortOf, it's just like, look, I know I can win the game with Hydras, but I'd rather try and play without being a douchebag. The Bailey Nest matches up with as well, because if you do see Hydras, oftentimes you will see either Zealots with charge or Mass Adepts in response. So either way, these will help out a ton. Oh, no. Maybe not. Take that back. 2 more Stargates, and more importantly, a Fleet Beacon kicks up. So ShoWTimE might just be sailing towards those carriers. Carriers are pretty good against Hydras. More on that in a moment, because I got to first thank Dio Nasty for subbing to the channel. New sub, hype. Thank you very much, man. But in accordance to what's going on, and out of everything we've seen up to this point, I think you could have like 200 supply in Hydras and still lose to carriers if done incorrectly. Because the carriers are not usually going to be alone. If there's not force fields and guardian shields and all this good stuff underneath it, there's usually storms and adepts and other things that can help deal with the Hydras. So the carriers are a little bit misleading. They're like the giant glowing targets saying, hey, shoot me, but really you should be shooting anything else. We've contemplated and theory crafted some ways to get around this, though, and I still think, like in my heart of hearts, that infestors are going to be one of the better ways to deal with carriers. But that's still something that we just haven't seen anyone really experiment with. We've seen a couple of good fungals here and there that stop interceptor damage, but Scarlet seemed to have it best set when she played in that replay we cast yesterday. And when she did that, she had a lot of queens, she had a lot of Hydras, but more importantly, she had a lot of Spore Callers and was abducting instead of taking fights head on with, like, you know, A-move tactics. I still really want to stress, though, the difference in carriers, because we're still on the new patch. A lot of you guys aren't too familiar with them. These cannons, for example, that he's building right here are affordable just because of the carriers costing less to make those interceptors. We did the math, right? The game that Scarlet we had cast, we had like 144 interceptors die. It came out to be like 700 something minerals, whereas beforehand it would have cost like 3,500. So interceptors only cost 5 minerals now. This is huge. It's no longer super expensive to use carriers, and that's why you're seeing people a lot more inclined to use them. That being said, I'm not sure if the cost effectiveness versus their strength is really their selling point. The strength is probably the biggest one in this particular scenario. We also have ShoWTimE going for a quick mothership. This is actually worth the investment, in my opinion. The detection it requires, the cloaking it provides, it's really cool, it's really awesome, and it can also be really good defensively to stop harassment. In fact, there's this really funny game, I can't remember who was playing, but the Protoss player had the mothership kind of AFK over one of the bases. And as the Terran came over to set up a Liberator, nobody could see anything, so the mothership was in the range of the Liberator wasn't shooting anything because it was all cloaked, so the base just kept mining. Without doing any damage, the mothership in that instance was the best defensive unit possible. But Corruptors are coming out of SortOf. This is going to be interesting. The Corruptors can help deal with the Oracles and chase down some units, sure. But even though they deal bonus damage versus massive, and they're meant to take down carriers, Corruptors still die pretty quickly to Interceptors the same way Hydras do. Maybe a combination of the two will be good enough, but if there's any question at this point whether Interceptors and carriers were going to be the weapon of choice, now SortOf knows 100% for sure. But he's going for armor. Oh, I like this, actually. There was some contemplation about this back in the day. For those who don't know, Corruptors have some of the highest base armor in the game. Although that's been tweaked a little bit. Ultras and Battlecruisers have the highest base armor in the game, but Corruptors, starting with 2, with a couple of upgrades, can certainly nullify some Interceptor damage. Interceptors only hit for like 8, I think? 5? Yes, 8 with full upgrade. So 5 damage a shot. It's not a lot to armored units. In fact, already they're only going to be dealing with 3 or so to the Void Rays, or to the Corruptors. But that's where the Void Rays come in, as I get a little bit ahead of myself. 4 of them being made after scouting all those Corruptors. Void Rays are going to be what melts the Corruptors down, no problem. I mean, in a very technical scenario, the Hydras will beat the Void Rays and the Corruptors will beat the carriers, but Rarely does the game play out so linear, much less expected, so I don't think it'll go that direction. I also would like to compliment, I like the ideas. I see the gears turning in SortOf's head right now. He's still going for a lot of lings. He's still going to get some banelings with this. And I don't think this is because he's anticipating adepts on the ground and Templar storming him down. Although maybe that's part of it. I think that the counterattack and the runaround abilities can be a lot better. The Golden Armada has always suffered from one major flaw, and that it's very slow. As strong as it is and impossible to kill as it might be, it's very slow. In fact, the Void Rays, oh my god, look at these Corruptors die. They just like look at them and they fall over. It's like Superman with heat vision. Cannons helping out a little bit too. We of course have the carriers mostly still standing. The interceptors have been for the most part untouched, and these Corruptors, well, they did fight for their life to take out the Void Rays, ultimately did not end up being worthwhile. He didn't even break all the cannons. He didn't kill all the carriers. We just saw SortOf throw away twice the resources. Oh, that's so gross. That was such a bad fight for SortOf. Ay. 21 Corruptors for 7 Void Rays. Not the trade you want to have happen. Oh, man. I will say that oops, sorry, as I get out of that. The one upside for SortOf is he did take some pretty quick map control, right? Like, he's gotten all these extra bases. He expanded very quickly. He's got a lot of drones. 92 drones, honestly, might be too many drones. That's where you want to consider start throwing some of them away. But if he wants to take the snoot approach to this, as I've decided to call it, where you mine out the map with as many drones as you possibly can, as fast as you can, so you have like a 100,000 bank to just constantly remax on. That might just be his thought process. But Hive is on the way, and I think that Hive is going to offer a lot more for this. Not only will the Lings have adrenal glands and run-bys, and Nidus Worms should be better. Actually, that's a big thing. Nidus Worm, the natural base. That's a freebie right there. I think, because that goes back to the whole lack of mobility, right? I think one of the problems is without those abducts, like you're forced to fight into ShoWTimE's defenses. Abducts mean that he's coming to you one at a time, and it doesn't go well. But these Corruptors get absolutely shreked once again. The Void Rays have too much damage. The carriers and the interceptors honestly aren't hitting the Corruptors that hard. Again, they're about to have 4 armor to how much damage for the carriers? I think it's like 6 with 1. Yeah, 6 damage a shot. They're hitting for 2 each. 2 damage times like 8. Okay, 16 damage every round. That's not a lot. The Corruptor's gonna live. Problem is, though, that ground army for ShoWTimE, while not good, not well upgraded, and not massive, still is not something Corruptors can shoot. They can't shoot down. So, Stalkers and Zealots, oh my, doing fantastic jobs running around underneath the army. I'm a little bit worried for ShoWTimE, though. He is getting pretty extended, and the Mothership recall is not reliable when you have this many Corruptors shooting at it. The Vipers, of course, out looking to gather some energy, not consuming anything. The Zealots just kill all the drones. When they go down, takes the fight, forced on the other side of the map, and the Corruptors are fighting against the Void Rays, and they're getting shreked once again. The prismatic alignment's a little too strong, and these Corruptors are just melting away. Base is surely going to go down. One of the carriers, I guess, fell while this happens. Only 2 remain, but it's not about the carriers so much as it is the Void Rays. Super SJ2 for the 23-month resub. Wish you Merry Christmas and keep doing amazing work to cast tournaments. It's a bit early for Christmas, but thank you nonetheless, and I hope you have a good holiday too, friend. Still looking to make Corruptors at this point. I really do not think Corruptors are going to be the answer with the way he's using them. GG's, in fact, are going to be called. That's going to be it. ShoWTimE going to walk away today €100 richer for his troubles, as he does win the Go for StarCraft Sunday Cup 3-0. A very nice, very solid, and a very clean 3-0 at that. I like that we got to see a little bit of everything from SortOf too, from Dark Templar harass and Archon drops to all the way the Golden Armada. Well, I guess in this case it was like the Silver Armada, because that game was a lot more about the Void Rays. Either way, I like to see the diversity in ShoWTimE's play, so that was really cool to see. Congratulations, ShoWTimE! Yay! But while that may have warmed me up for the morning, guys, I think that's going to be it for now. The stream's going to go down, and we'll be back in... one sec. In 1 hour and 40 minutes. I even compensated for stream delay. So 1 hour and 40 minutes from now, we'll be back. It'll be myself and Zombie Grub. We'll be casting the Yord. Would you watch this qualifier number 2? We do have a Reddit thread up if you guys would like to share and help us let players know to sign up. We do have some pretty nice sign-ups. Before I disappear, let's take a look. These are not brackets that are set. These are just People are signed up, so chill. We've got a live for the Korean side of things. We got Billowy, Protoss, Jockshi, Terran, Bly, Zerg, Stats again for Protoss representation. What's up? Keen with the Terran, ShoWTimE with the Protoss. Just won this cup after all. Trust coming out. Like, we got some really fantastic signups. So I hope, upon hopes, you guys will come tune in for that. But I'm gonna run one last set of ads. Thank you guys for watching. Check out our sponsors down below, Corsair and all of them. And we'll be back, like I said, later. Ta-ta for now. Actually, who am I going to host? I don't know who I'm going to host. I'll find that out after. Anyways, ta-ta for now. I'll see you guys in a bit.